Greetings. I had a user email me and ask about plotting data from two different sources, two different serial ports at the same time. It takes a little bit of work to understand what's going on with that. Sending things like drawing instructions or control instructions or reading the plot are easy. Plotting on the same plot with both or even on separate plots becomes a little bit more complex, not bad. Right. So what I have on one Arduino on COM3 is running this code here, printing out two of my sine cosine waves and plotting that on channels 1 and channel 2, or A and 0 and A and 1, channel 0 and channel 1, A and 0 and A and 1. And the second one, on the second Arduino, I'm running this code here, which plots two different values. So this can be COM3 and this will be Arduino on COM7. Okay, but there's two different sources, both ending in carriage returns or new lines to end that data set. Okay, so we've got our two sources of data set up. Now we need to add a second serial control to this. We could start from scratch and build our own and put two serial ports on there, or I could rearrange this all around to make it fit or whichever interface you want. But for simplicity, all I'm going to do is get rid of this message data box and put a serial control there just to make it simple. So I'm going to go into F9, go into edit mode, click on that one, delete it, delete key or Control X, say yes, and then hit F2 to bring up the controls, grab a new serial port, call it serial 2, okay, and put it on there. Okay, so now it's called serial 2 as opposed to the first one, which is just serial. Okay, we'll hit F9 to get out of this. Okay, so let's just try plotting one, see what happens. This one's on, let's put this one on COM3, and this one's on COM7. So we'll connect on this one, and we'll connect on this one, get that one going, see what it looks like once. Let's add a little bit more. And that use COM string causes it to reset. Now it looks kind of weird because we're using data from two different sources at once to do that. In fact, it caused a little glitch on me there. So it's having some problems trying to incorporate those both together, it appears. So which is not good. So we're going to disconnect those, reset it. Oops. There's a double bounce on the connect. I need to hunt down. It's going to be very detrimental to your plotted data sometimes. Okay, so on this one, we're going to go into it. So I'll put my mouse over it, hit F3. And what I turn off here is process main, and because that's what automatically puts it into the processing queue to be operated upon. We're going to take that out of there or turn that off. Okay. And so now I'll just have data from the one source being plotted, not the second one. But I want to plot the second one. So we're going to go into settings, into channels, and on channels 2 and 3, what we want to do is get data from serial 2 and get A and 0, which is its first value. Serial 2 is a 2 there. Okay. And then serial 2.AN1, its second piece of data. So I'm going to grab those directly and plot those directly from that port. Okay, so that's good to go. So let's try it now. So I'm defining where that source of data comes from instead of relying on the default of just taking serials AN1 through AN whatever. Okay, so let's try again and connect. Okay, so now we see all 4 channels being plotted. I'll give it a few seconds to make sure it doesn't glitch out again. Okay, but they're both taking data, putting the serial queue, or it's relying on this first one to plot with, because we don't plot anything until we get serial data to some analog data to arrive to trigger that plotting action. So if I turn this one off, once again, it won't plot anything because there's nothing triggering it to plot and call up those other values to be plotted. As far as logging that data, if you want to log it, let's go double click log meters, log all analog channels. All it's really going to see is that first serial port's analog data to log that because it's calling up the other one separately. But what we can do here, instead of plotting, do a string ourselves, and we could plot off the plot itself or log off the plot itself. So plot dot channel 0, comma, plot dot channel 1, brace, open brace, plot dot channel 2, etc. And tell it to use the string instead of logging all data. So it'll use the string to create your data set of your saved data. And we needed 3 in there as well. But we're going to take that data directly from the plot instead whenever analog data arrives. So careful with that with logging data. Okay, we'll disconnect you. Now a second way to plot data also would be to manually send that data. Okay. So when we look at a different example here, channel or COM3 will stay the same. On channel 4, on the COM7, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to manually tell it to plot data. So plot chan 2 and a value. So we'll print plot chan 3 and the value. Okay, with the again line feeds after we send the actual data, okay, to send those down. So we're going to tell it manually what to plot. With this first way, I'll go back to it for a second and try this one more time the way it is. Earlier when I was testing this, I saw something interesting. Yeah, the second channel gets a little bit bumpy because it's relying on the second COM port. Gets a little bit bumpy because it's relying on the timing of the first COM port telling to plot. And so we don't see the smooth transitions that we do for the first one, okay, the black and red, whereas channels 2 and 3 look a little bit bumpier. May not matter to you, may be fine, but this other way of doing it should take care of it as well. Should take care of that. Oops. Which one's on? Okay, next on my list is to fix that connection so it doesn't double bounce on me all the time. So looking at this one, I think by telling it exactly what to plot, as soon as that data arrives, that instruction arrives, it'll take it, it'll use it to plot our data. And so it should be a lot smoother. Now this may cause multiple entry strings in log for meters, because every time analog data arrives, whether through a common delimited string or by saying plot chan, it's going to trigger that to log. So you may get some redundant log settings out of that, or log entries out of that. So let's go ahead and upload that. I don't think I did yet. Make sure we're at 9600 baud. Yes, we are. And let's upload it. In fact, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go into the settings again and turn off those two because we're not going to be doing it that way anymore. We're going to manually plot it for the channel. Okay. In fact, I can just leave this the way it was, that it sends data automatically because it's not sending analog data anymore. So we'll go in here and we'll turn process main back on. So really all we did was slap it on there with that code and it should be ready to run very simply. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect. On 3, let's reset the plot by itself. Connect on the other one. Oops, looks like we had a data glitch there going into it. Until it times out. Should recover within a few seconds here. There we go. Okay, so we're getting data from both sources being dumped into the queue. One's manually plotting, saying exactly which channel to plot, what value, and the other is just a couple analog values that we're plotting out. Okay. I don't like that freezing up. Something going on in the queue that's throwing it off from its processing. But there is a watchdog on there that restarts the processing if it hits that glitch. And of course, it's probably the slower you send data, the better it's going to be. I'm sending data fairly rapidly here. Okay, now for fun, let's go ahead, since I hate hitting two buttons that seem a little bit unstable to me. Right now, let's add a new button to this. So let's go up F2 and let's add a new button to this. Add a new toggle image button, and we'll call it image toggle button connect. And we'll label it connect. And I'll toss it down here. And I'll write some code for it, F3, to go into its code. Event code for it. Okay, so when I turn it on, what I want is serial, asterisk, wildcard, all of them, open port. And when I turn it off, its event will be off, serial, asterisk, close port. Update code, and we're good. Okay, and F9 to exit editing, and we're back. Okay, so now hitting this one button should connect them both. There we go. Starts plotting. Turn them both off. Turn them both on. Okay. That actually connects and disconnects a lot smoother than the actual connect buttons do right now. Okay, and we can add as many serial ports as we want. And of course, the more serial ports, the more possibilities we're going to see those processing glitches and that freeze for about 15 seconds or so. How long it is, 10 seconds, before they try to recover and continue on with processing. Okay, I hope this helped, and happy plotting.